सर्वधर्मान् परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज.
The miseries of material existence and the most hopeless conditions of life is the best possible opportunity to turn to God.
Barerupa Bhakti presents The Gift of Desperation, a Bhakti recovery podcast. This is a 12-step based Bhakti-oriented space. Here we share our experience, strength, and hope in the spirit of recovery from addictions and associated behaviors. Welcome. Well, hello. This is Jiva G with another Bhakti recovery podcast. I'm here with one of my favorite people of all times, the artist formerly known as Anya, now Anasuya Devi Dasi.
Haribol.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Hey, Haribol. So I'm really before we go into this, I just want to give you a little proper respectful intro. She's quite a remarkable, incredible devotee, and I really appreciate her. She's been in the Bhakti Recovery Group since it started, basically, and has never left. In case those the Bhakti Recovery Group who are listening to this recovery podcast, it is a Bhakti Yoga oriented 12-step fellowship for people who are struggling with addictions and associated behaviors. So I met Anya online, and I think Anya, was it already? Was it already? It was in the lockdown, wasn't it? Or was it lockdown?
Yeah, we were locked down.
Yeah. So it was in the lockdown. And, yeah. So Anya's journey in the past, 3 years that I've gotten to her, Anasuya. Sorry, she's just been jaded, so I got to get used to that. It's been quite incredible. She's been through a lot, and she is, for me, a poster girl of just, keep on going. She's laughing right now. I can see her smiling and laughing, but that's how I feel about her. I think she's a remarkable, incredible young woman. And I'm Nasuya. Hi.
Haribol. Hey. Thanks for having me. I am really grateful that I'm here. It's by Srila Prabhupada's mercy and by Jiva's mercy that I'm even able to talk about this process of recovery through Bhakti Yoga. So yeah, it's really nice to be here.
Thank you for showing up. This was kind of spontaneous. We had it planned and then we just didn't do it. Now we just last minute was like, want to do the interview? She was like, yeah, okay, cool. We just jumped. So, is there any way you can turn your microphone up a little bit or something, or more into? You sound kind of.
Maybe
we should have done a sound check beforehand, but no, we just did things here.
Is this better?
I think that's a little bit. Oh yeah, that's
okay.
Okay, so let's talk about a little bit about your background and, what led up to you just coming into recovery. How was it like growing up? What was your childhood like? Was your, who is Anasuya?
Well, I think my childhood is maybe even, being in recovery, and I've been in the process of going to therapy and things like that since I was in my early teens. So just in hearing from my peers, I can see that one big difference in my growing up compared to a lot of other devotees or people in recovery that I meet is that my parents were divorced, which isn't that unusual, but the two households were completely different. My mom's house was super peaceful and nice, and I felt like I got to like have a normal childhood for the most part. I played outside and we had pets and things like that. And then at my dad's house, I was being trained to be a champion tennis player. And
Oh, wow.
my dad was very uh, set in his ways, and he was very
Ambitious.
determined. I didn't want to do this. I did not want to play tennis. I still have very little interest in playing tennis. But my dad was really like, my mom talks about when I was born, he was like, this is going to be a champion. And um, through that complicated relationship my dad and I had with sports, there was a lot of emotional and physical and mental abuse that was going on. And so I kind of had this like
Mm.
safe place at my mom's house
What
2 days a week.
what kind of abuse? Like what, as far as like eating
Physical,
regimens and stuff like that, or
all kinds of stuff. My dad, so like physically, just like, the things we think about, being hit and being grabbed and things like that. And then from a emotional and mental standpoint, my dad wasn't someone who really coached through positivity. He coached me through like telling me how much I sucked.
fear of God? Oh,
And I had a sister and a brother who lived, well, my stepbrother lived with us and my sister, and a lot of my memories around tennis are they did the things they like to do. My sister loved drawing. She's an artist now as a professional, and she was encouraged to draw and encouraged to paint, and my stepbrother just did whatever he wanted, and I was really forced into this role that my dad put me in from birth. And that that bled over into many evenings eating like what you see like gym bros eat, like a sweet potato and chicken or whatever, while my sister and my
yeah.
stepbrother were eating kid food, hot pockets or whatever. And I just like was so desperate to be normal. I was never allowed to wear girls' clothing as an adult. I find that like so bizarre, but my dad didn't allow me to wear girls' clothing. Just strange things that really did have an impact though on um my desire to be in control and to have some autonomy as I got older. Like I can see where my
Yeah.
rebelliousness came from. I just wanted like my own autonomy. And
Okay.
it's weird though, because when I grew up I realized that my mom um is in recovery now. My mom was a drug addict. And so it's interesting to me that the really dysfunctional household that was apparently dysfunctional to me as a child was the one that had the sober parent. And then the place I felt safe was actually with the
Or
person that
maybe
was really
the
struggling.
or maybe the codependent
Oh
parent.
yeah.
That
He
can
was
get
definitely,
even worse sometimes.
yeah, it's just interesting because I think that we view addicts through a certain lens, and that lens
Mm.
means they must be the worst parents, the worst family members, the worst brother or sister, husband, wife, and like that's not necessarily always true. So um my mom got sober, and for me that was a big push that led me to joining Bhakti recovery group meetings, because I had a lot of um anger and resentment towards my mom as an adult, and as I was going through my own struggles, she was an easy scapegoat for me because she was going through this recovery
Mm.
process, so she was easy to be angry at. I came to these Bhakti recovery group meetings thinking that I was going to like realize why I was so angry at her, and instead I just ended up realizing that like maybe I had a problem actually, like maybe I had nothing to do with my mom, and
Mm.
maybe my own behavior was the problem. So
Wow. So did you sort of, so I know about you, and I'm not gonna talk about something you don't want to talk about. Um um so what made you want to do that? With like just the were you bottoming out
yeah, I mean, like I can talk about it.
on your
I
mother's
mean,
behavior? Mhm.
It's not something that is a secret to people that know me, and I feel like it's been widely talked about and speculated about in general, is that for those who don't know me, I was married, and I have a daughter. She's 7 years old, and I was going through this really tumultuous divorce, not to get into like, messy details, but it got pretty crazy. Um, and I was really struggling with how to handle the emotions that were coming up. And um, as lockdown progressed, I wasn't seeing my daughter at all. And then it went from not seeing her at all to not being able to speak to her at all. So I went from being a stay-at-home mom, um, with everything materially that I could possibly need to care for my child, to being alone in my parents' basement in the middle of a pandemic lockdown with zero contact with my child, and financially strapped. And I turned to things that had helped me in the past, which were alcohol, marijuana. I was using, I kind of wise guide my way into getting a prescription for Adderall. And so I thought these things were really helping me. And
Wise guide my way.
yeah, if you're smart, you can get what you want. And I think that's what I see in recovery a lot. Like, so many people in recovery are like super intelligent, and it's like you're almost too intelligent for your own good, and you get yourself into these predicaments because you outsmarted the people that are supposed to be keeping you safe. And so yeah,
Yep.
I so I was looking for someone to be angry at, because my ex-husband wasn't going to take responsibility for his behavior. The court system wasn't going to take responsibility for the things they had done. I wasn't ready to take accountability for what my part in all of this was. And so it seemed like the next best person would be my parents. I could be mad at my parents because they made me this way.
Mm-hmm.
And
because
so
it's all
I was
their fault. Why it'll happen this way anywhere. Yeah, of course.
And so then I was listening to Wisdom of the Sages a lot. This Wisdom of the Sages podcast. It was really funny. A few months ago, I went through some old notebooks to transfer my notes into a new notebook. And I used to wake up like so early in the morning to listen to Wisdom of the Sages, but I would wake up so early in the morning so that I could smoke weed first. And the notes are just like totally ridiculous. Like, I don't even know what I was writing down and why. But they're always talking about, at the beginning of every podcast, they talk about that this group existed. And so I just thought I would check it out and get some knowledge on how to like better argue with my parents, I think. And I ended up realizing that I was really struggling more than I was willing to let on to people.
I remember the first meeting you came to, you were in your car.
Yeah, I used to like, it was weird during the pandemic, I used to like stay in my car, and my parents have told me that they kind of realized that's when they started catching on that something was really wrong. Is I couldn't bear to be in my house with all my daughter's belongings. And I would sit in my car for like 6 hours, and I would just be like totally despondent to the world. And there was like a little, it's weird because I was chanting Hare Krishna, I'm reading Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, I'm going to all these classes on Zoom all the time. But like also, like outside of my car was like this massive pile of cigarette butts where I would just sit and like smoke a million cigarettes all day. And like, I was really just trying to figure out like what was going on. Like, I was so out of control of all of the circumstances in my life that I was kind of losing it. Like mentally, I didn't have a firm grasp on what the next best thing to do was. And so I just kind of sat in my car for like months.
I know. I remember the very first time you showed up to a meeting, you just kind of like you were in, and then you just like turned the camera, like you just like left. Like you came a little late, left a little early, so you didn't have to talk. You were real shy, and
Yeah.
you did that for a bit, and then you came back, and then you started talking. I remember. I've seen you grow so much.
Yeah,
So
that's something I had to realize recently because now I live in an ashram. I live in an ashram in the United States at a farm community, and um yeah, sometimes living in this kind of environment, it's really easy for me to get down on myself and think there's so much more I should be doing as far as Krishna consciousness is concerned. And when I step back and realize that, like, actually, it's been a lot of progress in a short amount of time, and easy does it. It's okay. I don't need to like be on the altar tomorrow.
right, but I remember about a year in, you went to rehab.
Yeah,
You decided to go to rehab. That was a
yeah,
good decision. It got you out of that situation. I mean, was it like a year? It was like about a year into coming to
yeah,
BRG meetings, right?
yeah. I think it took like probably like 6 months for me to consider that maybe I had a problem, and
Yeah.
then it took like another 6 months for me to realize that like it was really out of control and I couldn't stop on my own. And I was having a lot of suicidal thoughts at that point. Um, and I think I just really like started to realize that it was going to take getting help from someone else before I could really like do anything about it. And it was going to
Mm,
require like like, I think I thought that surrender meant chant Hare Krishna. Like, I think that I thought surrender meant, like just chant Hare Krishna and eventually all the problems will go away. And I had to realize that actually what surrender means is that I do my part to help myself. And then, Krishna, my higher power, comes to meet me and does his part, like, and I can surrender in that way. I don't have to like, I can't fix it all. I have to do what I can to help myself, and then my higher power can help me. And so yeah, it was the day after my 30th birthday, and I had like a sit down with my parents and was basically like, hey, I need you to drop me off at this place. And my stepdad is pretty like stoic and like
mm,
not non-emotional, and I remember he was like, whatever we got to do, like, we'll do it. And I felt really supported by my family. I felt really supported by this group, um, and I felt really supported by a lot of my friends. Like, even
mm,
people that um, yeah, I can think of a few people that even though we drank and used drugs together, I think they could see how much I was suffering, and they were just happy that I didn't want to suffer anymore.
nice. Nice. So what made you okay, so now you're in the ashram. We're gonna fast forward. You're in the ashram. You've gone through these leaps and bounds. Your Krishna consciousness has gotten deeper through the 12 steps, correct? Is that what
Yeah,
you're saying
yeah,
basically? Yeah.
for sure.
And so so at the moment, so you're living in the ashram. You've been there for what, 3 months? 2 months, three
Yeah, I think
months,
I
two?
think 4 months. Four
Oh my
months.
gosh, it's already been 4 months. So you're living there for 4 months. Um, and you've just been initiated.
Yeah, I got initiated in July.
And so how has the 12 steps helped your bhakti practice? How has bhakti practice helped your 12 steps? Can you think of
Um, well, I mean, I can see where in the Krishna conscious community that I live in, there's an ashram, and then outside of the ashram, right, there's like a whole community of people that live here. And um I can see all the time that if I didn't have this recovery experience, I would be in conflict. There would be a lot of conflict for me. And I think that working the 12 steps has given me a level of detachment that we're looking for in Krishna consciousness when it comes to outside circumstances, people, places, and things. You know, like we're looking for that in Krishna consciousness, and chanting Hare Krishna and reading and, you know, taking prasadam, all those things help, but nothing has been able to help me detach from hurtful people, not having the things I want, and not being where I want the way that working the 12 steps has, because I've really had to step back and look at myself in a pragmatic way, you know, like, and not with emotions. And I think that that's been really important for me. And I can see where so many problems in my life were really just because I was being, it's not because someone was hurting me, it's because the hurt thing inside of me was just being poked. And as I
It's now. Sorry about that. There was a bit of a glitch in the matrix.
That's okay. I was saying that, you know, I think that the big thing for me has been realizing why I'm so reactive to things, and being able to slow down and work the 12 steps to really analyze my own behavior has helped me be able to slow down and kind of analyze my part in things as they're happening around me. And I joke around all the time that the reason I work well in this kind of environment in the ashram is because I grew up in like a highly dysfunctional family. And so I'm already used to these kind of things happening. And you know, I can see where Krishna, you know, sometimes Krishna trains us up in ways that aren't very conventional. That, you know, we're not. And for me, I can see where in my life I was given some experiences that make this ashram life and living in a Vaishnav community a lot easier than maybe other people who come here. And that's something I see, you know, there's a big turnaround. People come and they go really quickly.
Yeah. Well, it's the same as 12-step program. People come, people go, you know, only some people stay, you know, some people stay, and just a few, and a few of the lucky ones, especially, you know, if you choose a path of recovery, like you have, and like a lot of us have. I found for myself that it was an immense freedom for me to look and choose and pick what kind of spiritual principles I want. First of all, it was there. You know, all the spiritual principles were there. Like the essence of every religion is in the 12 steps. Amazing, just insanely amazing. And, you know, at a certain point, you know, that can be more elaborate or not, depending on the person. So, so people don't, I don't know, a lot of people just don't want to do the work. Just don't want to do the work, you know? And it's really quite simple. It's just not easy, but it's just super simple.
Yeah, I think that's like, I mean, I think that's the same as Krishna consciousness. And I think that's why we see people come and go from the Krishna consciousness movement also. Is like, it's really simple. You know, like someone asked me recently, someone who's not a devotee, an old friend of mine said, well, what do you have to do to live there? And I said, well, you just chant Hare Krishna, and you just don't do drugs or eat meat or gamble or have illicit sex, and you just like you just go to work. I don't know, that's it. And they're like, wow, that's so easy. And I was like, well, it's simple. It's not necessarily easy. Like,
no, for some people.
Yeah. And I mean, it's funny when people say that to me, because I'm like, yeah, it is. It's that easy. And my life is really peaceful, and I have everything that I could need. And, you know, like, it's funny, but all my meals are provided for me. I don't even ever like stress about like, what am I going to eat today? Like, what am I going to cook for dinner or whatever? I just show up and the food goes on the plate and I eat it. And it's a nice program for me. And I can really see the correlation between living in the ashram and going to rehab, actually. Like, it's really similar.
Well, yeah,
Everything is
it
really,
keeps the main it keeps the main thing the main thing. You know, these are the things. This is what people. Some people would say that sounds like jail. Some people would be like, "Oh, okay,
yeah,
three hots and a cot, and that's it, and you work." That sounds like jail to me, but actually, it isn't, because if we want to concentrate on things, it's actually the most freeing thing in the world, because we don't have to think about what we're going to do for dinner. We don't have to think about what we're going to say at work or do at work, or we're concentrated on spiritual principles, right? Concentrated
yeah,
on, you do your stuff, you live out the things that you know is good for you and for your recovery, and you grow in that. And so it's not jail, it's freedom. Some people, when we're talking about jail, like doing jail time, I never did. I should have a million times and never got caught. But, I never did jail time, but I've had a lot of friends who sat and did long stints. And they've told me, some of them, not all of them, that was the most freeing thing ever in their whole entire lives. Because
yeah.
that's when things just got real and real simple, So
I
yeah,
mean,
I see
when I
that.
got out of treatment, like, I wanted to go back so bad. Like, I didn't want to
I
go to some
remember
like
that.
halfway house, recovery house. Like, I just wanted to like go back to this program. It was so easy to follow. I woke up, like, the activities were already picked for me. All I had to do was like put the food in my mouth and like show up to the and sit in the chair and do the work. And I think because of my background with sports, I'm really conditioned that way. Like, I just want to
Mm.
know what I need to do, and then I'll do it. Like, um, and I think that's why,
But that's a good attitude to have. It's a great attitude to have. It makes
yeah,
your
just,
process a bit simpler.
yeah. And I've always been looking for like simplicity in my life. I don't think I realized how much I was overcomplicating everything in my life, especially in active addiction. I don't think like, I thought that was a solution. I thought that was the solution. Like, I was like, I feel like crap. Like, I'm going to fix it. And I was just making everything harder and everything worse, and it made every part of my life more stressful, which
Mm.
just led to me drinking more and smoking more weed. And like, I it's funny when I reflect on like how my lifestyle was centered around um centered around my own comfort. And when I was centered around my own comfort, it was impossible to be comfortable. And now that I don't worry about it, I'm like super comfortable. It's funny.
Mm. That makes very much sense. I mean, I've always been in this, I don't know, sort of, I feel like, until I came to recovery, and even in recovery before Krishna consciousness, before any kind of religion or anything, that I was just pure, plain old recovery with like this very general willingness to believe in a higher power. What I did feel was, oh no, I just lost train. I just lost my thought. I really hate that. I was like, oh, this is a good one. Yeah. What was it? Oh yeah, right. So running around, I always said, I'm sick and tired of being pushed around by my feelings. I'm sick and tired of being pushed around by my emotions. At this moment, like, and this is something that's so freeing at the moment for me as well, is realizing that my whole life actually, we talk about service in 12 steps, and we talk about service in Bhakti, right? We talk
Yeah.
service. It's like the big thing. So not only is service almost the answer of everything, it's like this. So if we run around serving our bodies, our wishes, our wants, we're serving we're basically scratching itches as we go through life. That's what it is. We're itching, and we just try to find ways and means to scratch. Serving the body, serving the hunger, serving the stomach, serving this. And when we realize, like in Krishna consciousness, that we're not the body, we're not the mind, we're none of those things. We're not our emotions. That's not what we are. And when we bring that and bring that into service. All of our emotions and everything, and offer it up to Krishna, offer it up to our higher power, then it's the same thing, but it just becomes more, we immerse ourselves in a connection to God. So so, we have this thing called prasad, right? Why don't you tell people a little bit about what prasad is and.
Okay. Prasadam is, in a nutshell, prasadam is food that's been first offered to Krishna and then we eat it. And prasadam means mercy. And I think that, it's just a nice mindfulness practice too, right? To like realize that the food was provided for me by Krishna or my higher power, whichever term you want to use. I choose
like my higher power.
My higher power, I choose to call Krishna. And he provides everything I need for me. And so I offer it back to him first, and then I'm able to eat it. And yeah, it's really special.
Yeah. So it's like you're hungry, that Krishna's feeding you. It's like, regular prayer. People say prayers at the dinner table, Jesus bless us, bless this food, bless this house, this whatever. It's a bit different, but it's kind of the same thing. So basically, Krishna consciousness, we offer everything in service. We offer the food, we offer our feelings, we offer our itches and our scratches, and we just try and make everything like a spiritual experience. Like they say, we practice these principles in all of our affairs. And in Krishna consciousness, they really mean it.
There is something about prasadam though, because like even people that aren't devotees will like talk about the Hare Krishna food. Like there's something about it. It's like it's even better than regular food. Like there's just something. It's the first devotees I ever met. That's how they got me. I used to go on tour with bands, and there'd be like these monks with like cookies, and I was just like living on like beer and Hare Krishna cookies.
Beer and Hare Krishna
they never
cookies. I love it. That's a good name for a band.
So it's really special, like, I don't know. There's just something about, it's just really good.
It's so nice. It's so nice to talk to you. It's so nice to have you at the BRG.
Thanks.
So before we wrap it up, is it really true? It's an hour. We've been talking for an hour. Is that even possible?
Yeah, no. I mean, like, Krishna is time, Jiva. It's very mystical.
No, wait a second. Look on your screen. Is it an hour?
No, there's no way we've been talking for an hour because I didn't get back up here until 2:30.
Oh, okay. So how long? Okay, so 2:30. So how long have we been talking?
35 minutes. 40 minutes.
Okay, cool. Good. Oh, good. Perfect. Okay, so yeah, we'll talk another couple minutes. So also I know that you went through a relationship recently, and I know that it was really difficult, especially for not just, it's difficult as a recovering addict and newly in recovery and a codependent, really in all of this whole recovery stuff, and practicing Krishna consciousness. It's very difficult to get into a relationship, and it really messes things up, and not like in a way where I say like, oh, that guy's bad, or the girls or Anya messed up, or the other, the guy did. It's not about that. It's about being so early in recovery, we don't even know our ass from our elbow when it comes to emotions. And then we put, that conflict, those conflicting dysfunctional behaviors. We're just trying to, it's just like waking up, when we're coming into recovery. So not talking about the relationship because
I actually had to reach, I wrote an email. I wrote an email to my spiritual master, kind of trying to explain to him what was going on in my life. And I told him, I said, like, it's not lack of care. It's that I've gotten to this point where like, I can't keep, I'm taking ownership. Like, I can't keep making offenses against this other person. Like, I can't keep misbehaving in a way that's offensive to this person that I was trying to build a relationship with, because that's really what it came down to. Like there's not
Right.
any one single thing I can own other than, yeah, it's just my own dysfunctional behavior that I don't want to continue to create offenses. And that's in so many areas of my life. And it's something I'm really grateful for in Krishna consciousness, is that we have this concept of like, don't take offense, and don't make offenses. And it keeps me in check a lot of the times. I really have to check myself sometimes and be like, whoa, am I being offensive with my actions?
Yeah. Yeah, of course. I mean, we are all kind of wounded. So you did this after like what, 2 years into your sobriety, started a relationship, or like a year and a half?
Yeah, it was pretty soon. It was pretty early on. Yeah, it was way too soon. I don't know when we would like officially have a relationship, but we were
Right.
associating with each other basically as soon as I got out of treatment, because we already knew each other.
Right. Okay.
Um,
Yeah. So
yeah, it's just soon.
that's very soon. And so what could you take, what could you take with you on that? Like what did you, I know it's kind of still fresh. So what have you taken from that? Cause now so we talked a little bit about your, addiction to drugs, alcohol. We talked about a little bit about your family background, and now, where you are now, and now, freshly kind of leading sort of a life in an ashram, in a lot of also, no relationships in that way, and just, keeping your spiritual practices. You've just gotten off of getting Lyme disease, so that's also fun.
Yeah, that
But
was the purificatory fire of the
uh-huh.
Dom. I think like the big takeaway for me has been what was my part in things. I think I applied
Mm,
that when it came to getting divorced. I applied that um in hindsight. Like after I got divorced, then I took some time to be like, well, what did I do? What could I do differently? But I feel like I tried to be more conscientious in this relationship of like, what is my part in this right now? And I think that's what helped me be able to establish some healthy boundaries in the end, and just make this choice to end the relationship, was that um you know I can't put myself in situations where I know that my behavior is going to be out of control. And
mm,
that's what I can control. I can control what scenarios I put myself in, and what kind of situations I allow myself to perpetuate. And I don't want to continue to perpetuate unhealthy cycles with someone or anyone, And I think that for me, I realized that when I am in those kind of cycles with someone and I don't set a healthy boundary and I don't step back and step away, then it's kind of like I'm co-signing for them, for their nonsense, for their bullshit, like
mm,
because I'm allowing it to happen by being there. And I can see where my behavior and my feelings on love and romantic relationships and friendship even are based on the examples that were set for me as a kid that weren't really healthy. And
mm,
um
mm. Mm.
I see a therapist. She's not a devotee. I think that's been good for me to see someone who is on the outside. And she and I were talking about how, yeah, I mean, I just really have to base things out of logic and reason, and not out of emotions, because I can't trust my emotions. Um
Yet. Put a yet on that.
yeah, yet. I can't trust my emotions yet. And also like emotions are like super intoxicating, like
Mm, totally.
when
Itching
we
that, scratching that itch,
yeah, and so like
serving them. Mm,
I can tell myself like, oh no, I'm not doing this because I'm like totally lusting after this person. But like, right, that's what my lust would want me to think. you know, like, and so it's been good for me to take a step back and, yeah, be in this place where another great thing about the ashram is I never really associated with a lot of women, especially like in my young adult life. Um, and so it's been really good for me to just be like around women, with women, learning about women, because it's helped me reflect on my own behavior, and it's helped
Mm.
me learn from other people around me, you know, how I want to be and how not to be. You know, it's helped me.
So your takeaway, we could put it in a nutshell with, you put your recovery and your spiritual life before everything, because if you don't, we're going to lose it anyway.
Yeah, I mean,
In it.
it's, and I can see that in the last few months. I can really see where, you know, I was putting everything else on the back burner, and because of that, the relationship was just suffering even more. You know, like
Yeah, of
it.
course.
So it's not about putting myself first. It's really about putting my relationship with Krishna first, and then everything else kind of follows. You know.
So that's great. So I'm glad you're, there and safe, and um, sort of the next few months what's in front of you, and concentrating on what's good for your recovery and what's good for your your spiritual life. And I'm insanely proud of you, because I watched all of this. I watched the divorce. I watched the struggles with your daughter. I watched this, everything, and I I just saw you always taking something with you at the end. Always taking something with you, and that's the key. That's the key. That's the key. And I see that. We make
And you know, like,
wait, they good.
I was just gonna say that I really, that's like, I really can say that I credit my mom for giving me that kind of attitude about things, which is like, she's really good at trying to find the positive in things, or she's just never given up. You know, she's had a really traumatic life, really crazy upbringing, really insane story with addiction, but like, you know, she's one of those people that like has, I don't even know how she's alive.
Yeah,
And I think that that's like one thing I really tried to take from her and really admire about my mom, is that, yeah, she just keeps going and keeps trying, and she doesn't give up. And, you know, even if everything goes really terrible and it doesn't go her way and it totally sucks, she doesn't give up. And so I've been trying to be that way as an adult, you know, even when things have been really sucky, I just keep going.
I love that. And yet that you got from your mom.
Yeah, for sure.
So, and all your practices and everything that you've done. So you're also you do a lot of good service for the BRG. Thank you for that. For
I'm
being,
glad that I'm able
always
to
showing
serve.
up. Yeah. So I'm so grateful for you. So I guess we can wind it up, unless there's something you want to end it off with. You want to give some sort
I
of
guess
inspirational quote?
I think that like my big takeaway from talking today and just from like reflecting and thinking is that like, um as devotees, you know, the best seva, the best devotional service we can do as devotees is working on ourselves so that we don't bring our nonsense into our spiritual communities and put our baggage off on other people. um it's really easy to do that, and it's really easy to spiritually bypass all of our problems, but that's not going to get us any closer to Krishna. It's not going to get us any closer to going back home, back to Godhead. And when we start working on ourselves, Krishna opens so many doors for us. I'm not qualified to do any of the things I do in this community, or, you know, in our society as a whole, but somehow I've been given a lot of opportunities to serve my community and serve Krishna. And it's really just because I took this gamble of working on myself. Yeah, I think that's my big quote is working on yourself is devotional service.
That's a good one. And it really is. It's,
Yeah.
the classic, got to put the oxygen mask on first before you give it to the person sitting next to you.
Exactly.
Healthy individuals build healthy communities. Sick individuals, we get a sick community. And there's sick people in all kinds of communities. And they're, just like in meetings, there are sick people and there are sick meetings. My sponsor told me that once. I was like, this meeting is insane. I was taught a meeting is a meeting, period. But she was like, no, Jiva, no. There are sick meetings. So yes. And I agree with that. When we do work on ourselves, we serve the whole community. So
yeah. And you never know where Krishna will take you with that. Like once we start working on ourselves, Krishna opens up doors for us to be in all different kinds of communities and help so many different kinds of people, like, yeah, it blows my mind every day, the people that I get to associate with, like different Srila Prabhupada disciples and stuff like that I'm not qualified to talk to. But it's just because of my desire to serve Krishna through this healing process that I've been given these really incredible opportunities. And yeah, it's all mercy, it's all prasadam.
It's all prasadam. It's all prasadam. All right. Thank you so much, Anasuya. And that concludes another episode. So glad you guys came. I hope Anasuya Devi Dasi could really give you something to take home with, some inspiration. That's why we're here. We want to share this with everybody. And looking forward to next week. And we will see you then. Dandavat pranams. Thank you so much, Anasuya. Haribol.
Thanks for having me, Jiva.
This concludes another episode. Thanks for listening. In order for me to serve this community to the best of my ability, I welcome feedback. Please write your feedback at bhaktirecoverypodcast@gmail.com. That's bhaktirecoverypodcast@gmail.com. Also, please don't forget to follow and give us a 5-star rating. Share this with family and friends. If you'd like to join our Bhakti Recovery community or just find out what we're all about, please visit our website at www.bhaktirecoverygroup.com. That's www.bhaktirecoverygroup.com. There are no dues or fees, and we meet daily. If you or someone you know is struggling with addictions and/or associated behaviors, you will find links in our show notes to various 12-step programs. Nobody seeking recovery need ever be alone again.
सर्वधर्मान् परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज.
The miseries of material existence and the most hopeless conditions of life is the best possible opportunity to turn to God.